on fat loss here a little bit, and you are the fat loss expert. There's no one I know that knows anything more about fat loss than you.
I'm an expert too sometimes.
COVID will do that to you, right? So you coined the phrase, you've written articles on it, you've talked about it many times, the hierarchy of fat loss. So if you can give us a little bit of an idea what that all means, the hierarchy of fat loss, if somebody's really trying to lose fat, what they should be looking to do.
So this is probably my most misinterpreted article of all time, because a lot of people will quote it and forget what I was talking about. Because what I said in that is that we can lose fat with no exercise at all, right? We can just do it through nutrition. We don't need any exercise. And nutrition is so much more powerful in terms of fat loss than exercise. I count it as the number one thing and the number two thing. So by comparison, when we're starting talking about exercise, we're starting down the line. I'm assuming diet, right? So doing exercise and not addressing diet, it just doesn't make any sense. So with diet in place, there are certain activities that will work better for fat loss than others. It's not that these activities don't work. It's that they're going to work better based on the diet already being in place. So with that said, I also filter it through per unit of time. So if I'm on the Biggest Loser show and I've got a bunch of people who have got their diet in place and I've got 16 hours a day because they don't have to go to work, I've got 16 hours a day to do exercise, my plan will look a little different than if I've got a real person with a job, family, kids, so on, right? That person might give me 3 hours a week. Now they can give me 3 hours a week. At that point, the only thing I do is what we call metabolic resistance training. Now it is weight training, but tweaked slightly so that my goal is not just to build muscle and not just to get stronger, it's to actually create a fat loss, right? I've already got my diet in place. I'm putting in a stimulus, right? That's the phrase, a stimulus, against stimulus response adaptation. A stimulus to tell the body to keep the muscle and preferentially use the fat stores, right? So if you think about my rules of fat loss are, number one, you've got to be in an energy deficit. You cannot if you overeat, your body stores that overeating by adding fat to the system. So we have to be eating less. The problem comes with people think eating even less speeds this up. That's not how it works, right? But you do have to eat a little bit less. Then I have to eat enough protein to keep the muscle around. Right, so I have to have what I call a positive nitrogen balance, which is a technical term for keeping your protein intake high. And then the third thing is I have to send a anabolic signal or stimulus to the body to keep the muscle. That's my stimulus response adaptation. So if I only have 3 hours, I would only do resistance training. If I have more time, I would do interval training after that. If I have more time, I would do hard aerobic training. If I had more time, I would add people going for a walk, right? Nothing wrong with going for a walk. But if you could only give me 2 hours of exercise a week, it wouldn't be my first thing. And that's the hierarchy. It's not that things don't work. It's that certain things work better and certain things work better in sequence. That without a diet, most of these exercise things don't do a whole lot. With a diet, it's magical. And it's kind of like you go into supplements. If I've got everything right, I've got your diet on point, I've got your training on point, I've got your interval work done, we're using heart rate monitors, I've got your recovery on, and I add a supplement, it looks like magic. But what people do is they add a supplement, don't diet, and don't exercise.
And they go to exercise, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work like that, but it put in at the end, it's like building a house. I got my foundations, I've got my walls, everything in the house is great. I put the roof, and then I put on these badass roof tiles, right? And everything's complete, right? Buying a supplement first is like putting the badass roof tiles in at the ground as your foundation. It just doesn't really work, right?